What's up everyone? Today we are back at it again. This is part of a series of videos where we take a look at a bunch of different Vocaloid songs. We analyze the visuals, narrative, and song composition to give a retrospective on the overall experience given to us by the producer. Last time we took a look at MikitoP's Shoujo Rei, which told a tragic summer tale about one's twisted perspective on what it means to love someone. Now, we'll be moving from one train station to the next. The song we'll be looking at today is Lagtrain by Inabakumori. Now, I just want to say, everything from the visual presentation to the potential allegories presented, as well as how the song is put together structurally, is masterfully put together. I believe this song is, without a doubt, a masterpiece, and I don't use that word lightly. It's a song that has helped shape the very core of Vocaloid culture. It's one of the most iconic Vocaloid songs ever made, and when you take a closer look at the set pieces more carefully, it's easy to see why this is the case. Its simple yet abstract MV art style is something fans can't get enough of. The simplicity of the monotone colors is purely an artistic choice from the artist, Nukunuku, and it's a choice that is mostly unique to nearly all of their works with Inabakumori. And it's a choice that I feel really blends in with Inabakumori's ethereal and introspective style of music. Its choreography pulls you in with how dynamic it is. It's all top notch. Even if I still can't exactly tell you what Osage is doing here. Is it a dance? I tried doing it myself and almost clipped through the wall behind me. This MV in particular is always so fun to go back and watch, and it's one of my personal favorite music videos of all time. Thanks to GingerKitty21 for the song suggestion. This should be a fun one. So let's dive in, shall we? Lagtrain is a song that was released on July 16th, 2020, simultaneously on YouTube, Bilibili, and Nico Nico. It's featured on Inabakumori's second studio album, Weather Station. As of recording, it boasts over 10.4 million views on Bilibili, 8.28 million views on Nico Nico, and 99 million views on YouTube? Talk about timing. I'm getting deja vu. In it, it's sung by the Vocaloid voice bank, Kaiyuki. Interestingly, the voice behind this voice bank is provided by a child, and it happens to be the very first of its kind, with the provider being in the 4th grade at the time of recording. Isn't that cool? Kaiyuki has always had some interesting vocals in my opinion. She has this very soft yet gruff delivery in her vocals that's very unique to her voice. It's a kind of softness that I feel is very fitting for Inabakumori's atmospheric composition style. She almost does too good of a job at blending in with the instruments of the song. And in the case of Lagtrain, it's that mellow piano, contrasting with the danceable and volatile percussion, as well as our main feature, our glorious pan flute. Each one of these instruments tells a story, and we, the listeners, may not be able to make out any words from them, but we can feel each and every impact through its phrasings, every bump on the track, every stop, and every takeoff, as if we were right there, along for the ride on the metaphorical namesake train. So, what is a Lagtrain anyway? While it's not based on any actual train, it could be a clever figurative representation of certain types of trains that can move one forward in life. To fully understand what this means, we must look at the story itself. The story of Lagtrain takes us through a world where every individual lives a life of their own. Some are poor, some are wealthy, some are confident, some are shy. Some people are successful, and some people lag behind. Sounds an awful lot like our world, doesn't it? Well, that's because it is! Or at least a reflection of it. Each of our choices and what we choose to engage with, whether in our control or not, leads us down different paths in life, and this song chooses to represent those paths with trains. In Lagtrain, we follow a girl named Osage-chan, who you may recognize as the girl who makes frequent appearances across Inabakumori's music videos. She's actually the signature character of an artist that goes by nukunukunigirimeshi, whose works you might recognize from other producers' MVs like Usushi Yoshisu's music or Takenoko Boy's music videos. Huh. Small world. They're of course the artist and animator behind Inabakumori's MVs, but I digress. In Lagtrain, we follow Osage-chan, who just like all of us, takes her own path in life and ends up riding through her own train route. A route that seems perfectly fine on its own, but in comparison to all the other routes, hers seems like the much slower route. It's clear that she's been lagging behind everyone else in life. Like her life could have been so much more had she not been so nervous before. Exploring the concept of social anxiety isn't something that's new for Inabakumori. It's something they've explored in their other songs such as Lost Umbrella and Rainy Boots. But in Lagtrain, they take a more creative approach to tackling this concept. I think there's something already really enthralling about how this song uses trains as an analogy to paint a bigger picture about Osage's perspective on life. But what I especially love about this song is how Inabakumori ties together not merely the narrative of the song to the train's theming, but the essence of the instrumentals. Lagtrain opens by painting the scenery around us in the current moment. It's only Osage-chan riding a train, but it's kind of a vibe like this. You can hear it in the audio too. I could stay just like this forever. But just as the Lagtrain moves forward, so must we. It seems Osage-chan is already riding a train, but the song only just now blows its whistles marking the start, and now it begins to set off on its journey. So, coincidentally, doesn't this mean the music is technically lagging behind our visuals right now? And we're off! The instrumentals of Lagtrain are so interesting to look at. We have this warm and gentle piano at the beginning of every bar to help establish some structure, and we have the pan flute to give us a memorable melody, totally separate from the ones the vocals will soon create. But what I think really sets the tone more than anything here is the percussion, whose deep and heavy thumping sounds as if it's mimicking the heavy steel wheels of a train moving across the track's rail joints in a calculated rhythmic motion. It's this simple decision in the instrumentals that I feel really elevates the song to another level in regards to immersion. We'll hear this deep pulsing used in multiple instances throughout the song, most prominently during the slower sections, where it feels as if everything is coming to a stop and there isn't much energy in the percussion. In this intro, Inabakumori pairs this thumping noise on top of a kick and snare, and boom, that's the percussion for our intro. Now that our groove is established, our lyrics come into the scene, and here's what Ochake-san has to say about her journey so far. Interestingly, when she begins her line, she starts off with this almost tiredness in her voice. The vocal delivery makes it seem as if she's super exhausted from her day, enough for her to let out a relieving sigh as she sits down, gets comfortable, and reflects on her arduous journey. Osage talks about a train that leaves her sights, something in the distance like an inner city train riding on the tracks connecting two far apart cities, leaving one city station and setting off for the next. In spirit of the song's theming, these cities too can be interpreted as a metaphor relating to life. In this instance, it's opportunities. Osage mentions these trains have already departed, so it looks like she won't be able to explore the same experiences as the other train's passengers anymore. This song features several lines referencing lost words, i.e. the thoughts or words of Osage that she can no longer seem to find within herself. It suggests a lingering anxiety deep inside of her that causes her to freeze up and not say what's on her mind, or to not take the chance right in front of her. To want to act in the moment, but to be met with conflicting thoughts that tell her, just forget about it. It must be exhausting having to keep up with these emotions. Even so, she must move forward with what words she does have, and clutch the fragments of what she can't recall as tightly as she can. The train takes off at full speed, and the instrumentals match this momentum shift perfectly. The percussion transforms into something more groovy, something you can bop your head to and dance to. This is all thanks to the percussion shifting gears to the very popular disco beat, also known as 4 on the floor. In short, it's a pattern where the kick drum is hit on every quarter beat, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 on the floor, right? Or the downbeat in this case. This simple decision gives the percussion more of an oomph to it. There are plenty of 4 on the floor variations, but I guarantee the most common one you've heard consists of the aforementioned downbeat kick drum pattern, while the hi-hat is hit on every upbeat. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and the snare drum, of course, on beats 2 and 4. So just 3 drums coming together to give a song its disco energy. It's one of the most commonly used drum patterns of all time. You've definitely heard this groove before in other music, but here are a few examples of it in other Vocaloid songs. Lagtrain, it uses a variation of this disco beat. The kick and snare are the same, but the hi-hat is played in 16-note streams instead of only on the upbeat. Not only that, but now in every upbeat, those same hi-hats are played louder or accented with some good old pea soup. No, not that kind of pea soup. Pea soup in drumming refers to the sound of an open hi-hat being struck, then brought to a close, which creates a sharp, accented sound with the two cymbals. You'll mostly hear it referred to as hi-hat barking, but pea soup is just a fun slang term. Anyway, play this pea soup on every upbeat while maintaining the same 16-note 4 on the floor pattern from before, and you'll have what you hear as the main groove of Lagtrain's chorus percussion. This groove especially works so well in the context of Lagtrain because of the syncopated pea soup hi-hat sounding as if the percussion is releasing steam and pressure in a pattern similar to how a steam engine does it. It is just a neat little parallel I like to draw for such a fun groove. When we're talking about the narrative of Lagtrain and all the different paths in life one can choose, it's important to take a look at things from Osage's point of view. In Lagtrain, she represents one who approaches life with a timid and shy demeanor. For someone as introverted and reserved as her, she might find it hard to fit in with others outside of her circle. It's often difficult to take the chances life throws at you, either because you don't find interest in the norm or you're just shy about facing what comes next. It'll always be easier to just ride your local train. Lagtrain takes this perspective and mirrors to the listener how one with these traits handles what life throws at them. Whatever plans and invitations she was given before are thrown out the window, and she rejects these so-called evenings with boring invitations in favor of a more comfortable and secluded night. A night where there's no pressure or rush from others. It's more lonely this way, sure, but that's just the life she lives. She follows this up with saying how she shouldn't rush down the alleyway. It's a place people often go to move away from other people and get some peace and quiet after all. It's somewhere where people take a breather and think to themselves. But for someone like Osage, this gap in her schedule may reveal something more vulnerable: her loneliness. And you can really feel the tension built from these thoughts in the tense melodies in the next section of the song. Visually, we see a couple symbols appear on the screen. An arrow that bears a resemblance to one you might find at a train station, the same arrows that guide you on where to walk. That sign is then followed by what appears to be a no entry sign, as if to say, this path you're trying to go down? Yeah, not for you. Turn back. Do something else. Even at the traffic crossing, her mind wanders and her thoughts are all in one big scramble. From the traffic crossing, you can make out a, "Wait for me," as if she wants to move with everyone, but is pulled back by her own anxiety. Or in this case, the street corner on patrol and the intimidating groups of those who walk it. And so, her anxiety makes sure she stays right where she's comfortable instead of moving forward. In this chorus, Osage reiterates what was said before during the first chorus hook. Things like trains connecting the far apart cities taking off, the attitude she has to fake just to make it through the long day, her lost words that would never be found, and the words that she has now being held tightly in her pockets as she rides on her own local train. It's worth noting that in this section, it reuses the fun chorus hook that we heard in the beginning. Now it's where you would expect it to be, and its contours look as if it tells a story of Osage-chan attempting to lift her spirits up gradually. It stutters for a bit in the beginning, like an engine trying to rev itself up. It then soars all the way up to the next octave, and gives itself quite the workout before exhausting itself and abruptly falling all the way back down to where it began. Like that same engine from before has stalled and in need of a manual reset. She lets out an exhausted sigh, and now we're suddenly back to basics. In the chorus, it's also given a slightly different variation, where we start from top and then let ourselves come down a lot more gently to home, as opposed to just suddenly crashing down to the bottom like we did before. And then there's the percussion of our song. Oh my goodness, this is quite possibly my favorite element of Lagtrain. I am obsessed with the overall writing. Something that I believe makes Lagtrain such an amazing listening experience is how the percussion tells a story of its own, carrying the entire momentum of our moving Lagtrain. There are numerous instances where our so-called Lagtrain changes the pace of our song. It remains a steady 147 beats per minute, but the feel changes so many times depending on the pattern, and with the exception of our chorus, every percussion section is totally different from each other, and there are even points where the jumps take a slight pause and stop completely in its tracks. Let's take a look at some of those instances, like in the very beginning where we ride along the tracks nice and smooth like, and just when you start to get used to the ride, all of a sudden, everything stops, and then we suddenly blast off. And now, with the newly added hi-hat, things certainly feel a lot faster. Things really calm down when we hit the first verse, and we toss out the pea soup from before in favor of a more smoother 16-note stream to hold on to our momentum, while the kick and snare do their usual business. Or how about here, using these neat little techno perks to transition into a part that doesn't make any use of the snares, only the kick and the hi-hat. It makes you wonder when the snare will come in to deliver our release, and it's a really great way to build anticipation for the energetic chorus that is to come. And right when that section begins, everything comes to a sudden halt, just like before, and then suddenly, all of that pressure comes out, bringing back our main groove, that 4-on-the-floor variation from before. It's feel shifts like these that make Lagtrain feel like one grand journey from point A to point B, and it really ties the overall groove experience to the volatile train schedules that stop and start trains when the time calls. All this to say, I am in love with how well thought out the dynamics of the drum are. Let's continue onwards. The music's groove comes to a halt, signaled by the crash cymbal. And Osage's train station is terribly crowded with people left and right, all looking to get on their next train. And it's here we see Osage's social anxiety at full display here, with her wishing this loud hustle and bustle could cease even for a moment, so she can collect herself and be alone with her own thoughts. But alas, the people around her continue to move onto their trains and take off, while the nervous thoughts run rampant through Osage's mind, keeping her frozen stiff in place. Now I've been looking forward to talking about this part. We arrive at what is absolutely my favorite part of Lagtrain, the second pre-chorus. Thematically, we're waiting at the station in the middle of a large and loud crowd, but musically, we're still along for the ride, and we've entered a tunnel of sorts. And it's here Osage's social anxiety really flares up and takes control of the instrumentals. For starters, you'll notice the first time we entered the pre-chorus, it only played for 8 bars, but this second time around, it's extended to double the length from before, and we really linger in the tension here. Inabakumori brings back the deep metallic thumping from the beginning, only now it feels like a calming exercise, where you try to recall 3 different sounds you can hear. Well, we can hear the trucking of the train going across the tracks. This deep pulsing is played in such a rhythm. It's like that one trope where you can hear your own heartbeat in a very stressful situation. In the vocals, you can hear a very clear and distinct echo, as if we're deep in the tunnel walls, where all the sound bounces off, and the sounds can decrescendo in the distance. It's an echo that's more noticeable than ever before, like she can hear her own thoughts. As it happens, this echo effect also appears to be lagging behind our main vocals, as echoes do, which matches the situation perfectly. So, in addition to the aforementioned percussion and voice effect, when you pay attention to the mood of this sequence, it feels tense, doesn't it? Well, to explain this uneasy feeling really quickly, it's all thanks to the chord we are currently stopped at in the progression. Keep in mind that up until the final key change, Lagtrain is in the key of E minor, which means we'll be sticking to these 8 notes primarily. If I take the 1, the 3, and the 5 of this scale, and I play them all together, this gives us the E minor chord, our home chord. But if I take out the 3rd, and I replace it with the 2nd of the scale, so I'm playing the 1st, the 2nd now, and the 5th, this gives us what is called a suspended chord, or a sus chord. And because we replaced our 3 from before with our 2, it is now a sus2 chord. The sus2 chord is often used in music to create a floating atmospheric tension in the air, a feeling of suspense if you will. And in Lagtrain, Inabakumori does what is called arpeggiation, which is where you take your focus chord, you break it up into its individual notes, and then you play each of those notes in some sequential order, whether it be from low to high, high to low, or you start from anywhere in between. In Lagtrain's case, it takes that E sus2 chord and plays it in a downwards motion on the synths. And that's not all. It so happens that E sus2 shares all of its notes with B sus4, so it can technically be notated as either chord. So not only do we have the keyboard descending from the 5 to the 1 on the right side, but on the left side, you have the bass guitar lingering just above it, and then dipping down to it at the end of the bar. You have all of this movement, dancing around and bumping into the place with the most tension in the key, in similar fashion to how Osage's worries, rumination, and distress dance around in her mind and keep her frozen still, too scared to make the next move, fated to lag behind those already on their train, already ahead of her in life. Now, going back to the narrative side, Osage feels even more tension as those around her in the train station rush to where they want to be, pressuring her to conform to how they live, to go where they go, and they push her to move forward in an attempt to fit in with the flock. Before she knows it, she's arrived at the ticket gate. Everyone is moving forward in life, but she isn't as much of a go-getter as they are. From the ticket machine, you can hear a "wait for me," but she isn't quite ready for the transition. It's all moving too fast for her. She's overflowing with stress and worry and keeps everyone else behind her wanting to pass, unable to move forward in their journeys. Oh, cute birds. As we exit the thematic tunnel and we begin to see the light that shines from the exit, the snares come back to brighten up the scene and give us a little more energy, and that pan flute comes back and gives us that familiar melody we all know and love, although this time it's being played over our vocals, so it's more like a counter melody being played with our main melody, which just sounds so satisfying when you can hear them filling in each other's rhythmic gaps. I'm telling you, from the train percussion pulsing on the bottom, to the echoed voices, the creepy, almost polyrhythmic feel of the keyboard arpeggios, that unsettling bass, the counter melody of the pan flute, the rhythmic phrasing of the vocals, and the visuals where Osage-chan is just standing there menacingly. This entire second pre-chorus sequence is just perfection. And now we're out of the tunnel. That familiar chorus groove is back. As we head into the bridge, we get this pretty cool back and forth between some strings in our pan flute. A very simple but fun call and response solo section. But past that, at the bridge of the song, or the viaduct I should say, we have the narrative reminding us something important in the midst of all the energy and vigor going in and out of these train stations. Osage comments that these trains connecting the far apart cities blow forth a wind, and that the pressure this wind creates is really easy to get caught up in, and she advises that you don't let yourself get caught up in this pressure. You see, in Lagtrain, we follow the perspective of the timid Osage-chan, who simply rides a train. These trains can be interpreted as metaphors for a lifestyle, and the routes that these trains follow represent the many paths one can follow in life. Osage, who lives her own introverted life, takes the local train that's most comfortable for her. Around her, there are people embarking on more grand adventures, people taking the interstate trains with breathtaking crystal clear lake backdrops, people riding the expensive monorails with drop-dead gorgeous mountainside views, and bullet trains specifically designed to get from point A to point B as fast as possible. These too are metaphors. All of this societal pressure from the outside world, which is more grand and more successful than where she is right now. All of these chances to hop on something much bigger, to be someone much bigger. But her anxiety kept her from speaking up, and those words that she wanted to say are forever lost in the wind. She missed out on these milestones, and now she's doomed herself to lag behind the crowd. Our chorused visuals have already been reflecting this lag perfectly, but now we can once again pull the Ethernet plug from our vocal layer, and we can hear another vocal layer appear. It's literally lagging behind our main vocals and creating echo effect. This display of lag in the vocals mimics the average fighting game online experience perfectly. As it desyncs from the main layer for several seconds, it creates an echo that lags several frames behind the original for a noticeably long time, until a harmonic layer fades in and begins to stabilize the two halves together, stuttering for a few moments before coming together as one, just in time for the build up to the final chorus. You can hear in the percussion, things are beginning to speed up again. People are lining up and taking their usual routes. Theirs looks so much faster and wealthier compared to your terrain. You could have been riding with all of them if you had just kept up with the crowd and lived how they lived. Confident and energetic. They can say what's on their minds, and look where they're at now. Meanwhile, she can't even muster her own lost words. But despite all of the lag, Osage-chan still chooses to move forward. Because this isn't a story about trying to stand at the very top, or reaching the end of the finish line first before anyone else can. Inabakumori's Lagtrain reminds us that life isn't a race, that even though you're technically behind someone, there's nothing wrong with that in the grand scheme of things. Every individual goes at their own pace, on their own adventure, and as long as you choose to keep moving forward, you'll arrive at the next train station eventually. The adventure may not be as grand as a transcontinental route, or as speedy as a bullet train, but it's still what you're comfortable with. No need to catch up to everyone else around you. You can comfortably relax on your local train. You can stay within your means, within your comfort zone, if you so choose. Osage-chan advises that you don't get caught up in the other train's winds, that you don't let its pressures blow you terribly far away from what's comfortable for you, if that's not what you want. And if you do want to ride that tailwind, but you miss the opportunity and you end up back on the local train, sure, it's slower, but you still have some nice scenic views by you to look forward to. It's okay to ride the Lagtrain. To Osage, those words she couldn't find before, she lets them be. She allows them to drift away. This final bridge is the acceptance phase. Osage entrusts everything, her entire future, to this local train, which may sway back and forth from the winds of the other trains, but still manages to stay on its tracks. I think there's a bittersweetness in all of this. Even if things don't necessarily get better for her right away, and she continues to struggle and have to fake her way through the day as if everything is fine, she keeps moving forward, so she will reach her point B eventually. Looking at the visuals once more, there's a point where Osage just doesn't wake up at all during one of the animation loop segments. And while I'm not sure why she does this or what it could mean, I thought I'd point it out anyway since it happened so fast, and seeing as this is the only instance of it happening in the MV. There's another neat little detail in this MV. Osage gets a brick thrown at her! But if we look closer at said brick, you'll see that it's actually not a brick, but some sort of wallet or notebook? I'm actually still not quite sure what I'm looking at here. But what we can make out from it are the little lines on the side that form letters and spell out thank you. Oh, that's sweet. I mean, pretty aggressive way to get that message across, but sure. Message received. Thank you, Inabakumori and nukunukunigirimeshi, for creating this gem of an experience. Yeah, this song may not have the happiest ending, but man, does the music go hard. Lagtrain is so peak. And I hope you, the viewer, enjoyed this analysis. Thanks for watching.